The world is full of many different people, each of whom possesses a unique culture that reflects who they are and the wonderful things that connect them with the world. And there's a culture whose influence diasporic aspects in many places, in terms of music, literature, art, choreography, and dialects. This ethnic group contains the greatest number of black people on earth and populates a country of green pastures and brown terrain. This country is Nigeria, the world's sixth most populous nation, and my personal ethnic background. Yeah, Nigeria is my heritage, so it's convenient that I'm giving this speech because obviously I will be fit to provide information on the culture after witnessing it firsthand for a long time. With over 230 million people, Nigeria is the blackest country on earth, so you can probably tell that it has a lot of profound culture bursting at its seams. Although, just like many things within the black community, the cultures and traditions within Nigeria has influenced many aspects of society in the whole world. People just don't always realize it at first. But we've seen how Nigeria has influenced many facets across the globe. Its culture, obviously, is very profound, and Nigeria is one cool country. But there are lots of other ways it has impacted the world through its music, incorporation of culture in literature, impact on language, and its provisions of natural resources. All of these things have been noted to influence the planet we know today. There are many individuals of the Nigerian diaspora who've contributed to recognizable things that we see in the US. Like in literature, Africa's highest selling author to this date, Chinua Achebe, was from Nigeria. His books have been distributed worldwide and translated in 57 languages, pursuant to Sahara Report. Another Nigerian writer, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, is also very regarded worldwide and has received many awards for the effect and educational impact her work has provided to so many people. Music is also very profound in its effect on the world, especially in Nigeria. Most Nigerian music is from a genre called Afrobeat. Well, at least today it is. Multiple West African countries have this style of music, but each one is unique and different. And Nigeria's music is definitely very special. With its diverse musical motifs and rhythms, the musical part of the Nigerian diaspora is very insightful. Pretty much every year, there's always at least one song that becomes famous or trendy, and it's written by a Nigerian artist. Musical elements from Nigeria and other West African countries have been recognized in other music styles, like in the relationship between West African music and that of the Caribbean and northern Brazil, according to the black perspective in music. As a matter of fact, many of the diverse musical genres created by African Americans, such as jazz, the blues, soul, gospel, and other avant-garde black music, uses many musical styles that Nigeria produced first, including other West African countries. The characteristic of African core is clearly a demonstrable practice in the essential elements which unite and defines these expressions of black music. Even some Afrobeats contain elements of jazz, the blues, and gospel to show how powerful music can be. Now, I can go on about how other elements from Nigeria can affect the world, like how some aspects of AAVE stems from the languages of ethno-linguistic tribes, or how some West African music elements can be seen in styles of Latin music, but I don't want to talk too much. And I also don't want to be bothersome. Let's discuss the different things Nigeria is known for. More specifically, let's talk about its history a little. Nigeria is very prestigious in its independence from Great Britain, like the US's. Nigeria became independent on October 1st, 1960, as a federation consisting of three regions: the northern, eastern, and western, with the federal territory of Lagos, in accordance with the book History of Nigeria by Sir Alan Burns. But when it comes to current affairs, specifically discussing the way Nigerians are perceived, it's a lot to unpack. I can provide lots of stories about when people concluded random things about me because of my heritage. For example, many Americans assume that people in Nigeria don't have electricity or know how to use technology, although this wouldn't make sense since the world's fastest computer was programmed by Philip Emeagwali, a Nigerian computer scientist, and a Gordon Bell Prize laureate who has to help change the way we understand computer science and software engineering. And many Americans assume that Nigerians don't have water or they're all suffering from poverty, but that can't be true either. Every Nigerian adult owns a cell phone or computer of some sort, and there are lots of Nigerians who own vast mansions and private jets. Not to mention, um, the country Nigeria ranks 10th place in petroleum reserves. The nation is known to be a powerhouse of natural resources, so I can get confused on the origin of these stereotypes, but I guess as different aspects of cultures aren't learned about, people will make assumptions for them. Now, enough of the false perceptions. Let's get into more specific things. Nigeria is recognized in many multiple different ways, but we're going to get a bit serious. According to Hofstede's cultural values, there are many ways people of different cultures interact with each other and how they display their distinctive traditions. We see that Nigerians tend to adopt collectivist cultures where they're centered around family and being connected with their friends, establishing relationships with others, basically. This is good because social benefits have a positive effect on work commitment as well as a positive effect on organizational socialization. On the authority of Dr. Monica Arenibar from the University of Baja, California, and they do a good job of this. Many Nigerians tend to be close with their relatives or friends who are also Nigerian. I've seen this myself. Sometimes my parents can talk to their relatives and their immediate family even though they live in many places across the world. And there are times when sometimes I will refer to my parents as close friends as uncle or auntie, even though we're not biologically related. But it's just something we do. If my parent and the person in question are close, it could be as if they are siblings. So, it will be interesting to use your words to demonstrate that. Another principle of Hofstede that is present within Nigerian culture is the restraint versus indulgence factor. Nigerians tend to have restraints on certain things and indulge in others. For example, many Nigerian parents would prefer their kids focus on schoolwork and make that their main priority and indulge in leisure later. According to the Migration Policy Institute, Nigerians are the most intelligent immigrant group of the U.S., as stated by the Rockefeller Aspen Diaspora program. So this restraint versus indulgence balance pays off. But it's also best to include leisure and relaxation from work in your life as well, since they can also be necessary and beneficial. In accordance with Dave Crenshaw's book, Power of Fun, when we work as long as it takes to get the job done, we can keep pushing past the emotional and mental dehydration and deprive ourselves of necessary replenishment. It's important to work and have fun and create a balance of these things. They're both crucial in being successful. But don't worry. Being able to enjoy the life we live and also be productive is always a good idea. But enough of the information. We'll get back to that later. Let's talk about my Nigerian heritage and how being a part of a family from Nigeria affects me. I know many West African countries are full of unique cultures, and with Nigeria, there are many cultures as well. But there are a lot of things Nigeria has that make me confident in my heritage every time. Like how it's the most populous country in the African continent, or how its vast economy, due to its provision of natural resources, is known very well. These qualities is why the country is sometimes called the Giant of Africa. And I think you can tell why. But if I had to start with my experience of Nigerian culture and how diverse it is, I would need to say that Nigeria is really about togetherness. Throughout history, we've encountered many struggles politically and on diplomatic affairs. But whether it's at a convention, party, or at church, Nigerians love to stick together and do so many things to just enjoy life. Another thing I've always admired is the different textile patterns I've seen in Nigerian fashion and how it shows how diverse we are within our nation and how we are made up of even more individual aspects that make us unique. And you can't deny, it just looks cool. And Nigerian music has pretty much always had an effect on me. I think music is wonderful and can help folks feel different things. My parents played it to a reasonable extent in the past, leading me to acknowledge the power given through Nigerian Afrobeats and gospel music. And whether you're at a gathering and this music plays, there are so many dances and good times to go around. I've gone to many events/parties, and the ambience I get from the places I go to always makes me feel excited and happy to be a Nigerian. My heritage is something that I've always loved, but let's address some pertinent issues within Nigeria. It's home to vast green pastures and forests, but there's an issue that's been occurring since last year, and it's deforestation. As a matter of fact, last year is just around the time when it became more noticeable. It's been happening for a long time. In 1936, the Akure Ofosu Forest Reserve was created, and today it's one of the most notable forests in the nation. In accordance with the World Economic Forum, the Akure Fosu has been a sanctuary for Nigeria's diverse and dwindling wildlife. Not to mention, it also is a large rainforest that covers 151 square miles. But we've seen in the past that 44% of its original size has been depleted and gotten rid of. This has been a problem for years. It's just that recently many journalists started taking notice of it even more, like I said before. It started to happen in 2002. From that year to 2020, the deforestation has been slow, but got rid of a large amount of forest, and that started to speed up in 2021. It's possible that the source of this came from many people cutting down trees for farming and agricultural processes, which is very ironic if you ask me, but we've also seen that many forest fires contribute to this too. But another source for this level of deforestation is due to poverty of denizens in the area. As people find themselves not with enough monetary assets, they look to agricultural jobs, which is good, but also bad since forests provide for the people living in poverty too. It causes a great harm for the species of animals that need to be taken care of in captivity. This is an issue that needs to be resolved immediately, but if there's anything I know about my country is that Nigeria can find a way to fix it. Now, that was a lot. I don't think I've ever talked about Nigeria to this extent before. But I'm glad that you can have the opportunity to listen to me go about the giant of Africa for this amount of time. Well, what was it, like 9, 10 minutes? I don't know. 11? I don't know. Nigeria is a wonderful country with its ethno-linguistic tribes, terrain, and unique cultures. There's no country in the world that is exactly like it, and understanding its history, the challenges it's gone through, and its people make me proud to be a Nigerian boy in this world. Learning about other cultures is a great way for us as humans to connect with each other and enjoy the wonderful world we share. Thank you so much for listening to me.